All right, let's jump into lesson 4.0. We're going to be tackling part 4 of your industry study assessment. Now, this is a section where a lot of really confident students, well, they accidentally leave a ton of marks on the table. We're going to make sure that's not you. I mean, just look at this. In the last 20 years, the ABC has gone from that to this. The technological leap has been absolutely massive, and it's completely changed the game for how we consume media. So the real question is, how do you talk about this huge revolution in a way that actually gets you the top marks? And that right there is the core problem we are solving today. As a marker, I see it all the time. Students write these brilliant histories of technology, but they get stuck. They cap out at a sound or thorough rating. But we're not aiming for that. We are aiming for extensive. And it's a big deal. There are 10 crucial marks up for grabs in part 4. You've got 5 for the history of the technology and another 5 for talking about staff resistance to that change. Let's make sure you walk away with every single one. Okay, first up, let's look at part 4A, which is that historical technology question. Hiding inside it is something I like to call the mandatory citation trap. And trust me, this is where most of those easy-to-get marks just disappear. So most students will get the basics right. They'll talk about the 2008 launch of iView, which was a huge shift. They'll mention the 2010 iPad app and, of course, the 2017 Listen app. And you know what? That's all good, solid groundwork. It's the stuff you need to include. But here's the thing. If everybody's writing about that, what is going to separate a good answer from a truly great one? What's the trap that stops so many students from getting that coveted extensive rating? Well, the trap is actually hidden in plain sight. It's right there in the rubric. There's a very specific instruction that is so easy to miss, but it's absolutely impossible to ignore if you want to get full marks. The rubric explicitly says that a top response must include comprehensive and specific reference to the 2 sources provided. That's the ABC's Code of Practice and the article about the ABC's move to Parramatta. If you don't weave these 2 documents into your answer about technology, you simply cannot score in the top band. It's a non-negotiable. So how do you actually do it? Well, you need a clear strategy. Here is a super simple 2-step process to lock in those marks. First, you're going to connect that pair-mounted move to a major tech upgrade. Second, you'll connect the Code of Practice to the challenges of new tech, like AI. Okay, so that Parramatta article, it's not just about moving offices. It's about a massive technological upgrade. It's the ABC's very first facility to use what's called fully IP-based broadcasting. You've got to explain that this allows for converged workflows, which basically makes producing media way more flexible and ready for the future. That's your direct link right there. Next up, the Code of Practice. The way you link this is by talking about emerging tech. You can explain that while the ABC is using AI for things like captioning, it still has to stick to Section 2.1, its absolute duty to accuracy. A perfect example of this is the ABC News Verify team. They use digital tools to spot things like deepfakes. This shows exactly how they make sure new technology doesn't break their ethical code. Okay, awesome. With part 4A totally sorted, let's pivot to the second half of the question. This is all about discussing strategies the ABC could use to overcome resistance from employees to all this new tech. First off, what are we even talking about here? Resistance doesn't just mean people are being difficult. It's actually a very natural human reaction. It usually comes from some very real fears, like, is this AI going to automate my job away? Or am I going to look stupid because I can't learn this new software fast enough? Now, to get the top marks here, you can't just say something vague like, the ABC should train people. The rubric is asking for comprehensive and specific examples. That means you need to propose specific, actionable strategies that really make sense. So here are 3 extensive-level strategies that you can talk about. First, education. Propose something like lunch and learn sessions. These can demystify new tools and show how AI captioning actually helps with boring, tedious work instead of just replacing the worker. Second, participation. Suggest a staff-led tech pilot group to test out new things like augmented reality cameras. This gives staff a sense of ownership and control over the change. And third, incentives. Propose upskilling bonuses for staff who get certified in cloud software. This completely reframes new tech from being a threat into a real career opportunity. Okay, let's bring this all together. You now have a really clear blueprint for how to get a perfect score on this supercritical part of the assessment. The formula is simple. but it is so powerful. You start with that core historical timeline, iView, the iPad app, the Listen app. Then you expertly weave in those two mandatory citations, linking Parramatta to IP broadcasting and the code of practice to AI and accuracy. And finally, you propose those specific practical strategies to manage staff resistance.
And that is how you move beyond just a standard response. That is how you show a comprehensive understanding and tick every single box in that extensive column, securing the full 10 marks.
So there you have it. You've got the blueprint, you have the specific examples, and you now know how to avoid those common traps. The only question left is, are you ready to go build your extensive response?